Imagine waking up one morning to find 200 people screaming your name. Not outside a movie studio, but outside your engineering dorm. Fans, news cameras, and even local matchmakers waving printed marriage proposals, all hunting for a 21-year-old college student. Halfway across the city, that same chaos was tearing through his family's modest tea shop. People weren't coming in to eat. They were flooding the space just to stare at the booth where the boy used to study. Fame doesn't politely knock on your door. It kicks it down and spills into the lives of everyone you know. This is a chart mapping digital interest in his name. It sits at a flat, absolute zero, and then overnight it spikes exponentially to 50 million views. A completely unknown student broke the internet globally with a single 2-minute movie trailer. Anant spent that afternoon hiding under a pillow in his dorm room. He felt paralyzed by the attention, convinced that because the film hadn't actually released, he was a fraud, receiving praise he didn't own yet. Sudden, massive attention is a psychological pressure cooker. It immediately forces a person into a brutal binary choice: either build a shiny, fake persona to hide behind, or crack completely under the weight of millions of strangers' expectations. Fast forward to the night of the premiere. In the back of a luxury car heading toward the red carpet, Anant was physically shutting down. His hands shook against the leather seats, his breathing turned shallow, and he was terrified of tripping or freezing on camera. Sitting right next to him was his father, Rajesh. In a high-stress environment that would rattle most veterans, the restaurant owner sat perfectly calm, his posture completely distinguished and untroubled by the flashing lights outside the window. Rajesh grabbed his son's shaking hand and delivered a very specific piece of advice. He told Anant that fear before a performance isn't weakness, it's respect for the craft and respect for the audience. The trick is to acknowledge the terror and burn it as fuel to step out of the car. Anant looked at his father, puzzled by how specific the advice was. For a man who ran a tea shop in Chandni Chowk, Rajesh spoke about the craft and respecting the audience with an intensity that felt oddly professional. To survive the overwhelming artifice of a media circus, a performer needs a hidden tether to reality, a private anchor of absolute truth that keeps them grounded right before they step onto the stage. Stepping out onto the Mumbai red carpet meant walking into a literal wall of flashbulbs and shouting reporters. But the moment the door opened, Anant's intense military training took over. He straightened up, found his center, and moved with total control. Veteran photographers were stunned. They were looking at a 21-year-old with zero cosmetic enhancements, just years of strict calisthenics, Kalari martial arts, and a vegan diet. He possessed an impossible physical symmetry that looked flawless from every single angle. When reporters started asking how it felt to be the industry's newest heartthrob, Anant didn't preen. His neck turned bright red. He nervously rubbed the back of his head, genuinely asking them to judge his acting, not marketing. That deep, unscripted blush instantly went viral. His established co-stars watched this happen and immediately started teasing him on camera. Their playful banter highlighted something rare. This kid had world-class talent and absolutely zero ego. The entertainment industry runs on calculated PR strategies and manufactured swagger. When you introduce genuine humility and raw authenticity into that environment, it acts as a disruptive force that simply cannot be countered. As the film began, the audience stopped seeing the IIT student. They saw Vihan, an operator defined by precise tactical movement and a heavy, expressive silence, making every line of dialogue feel secondary to his eyes. The film reached its physical climax during a brutal hand-to-hand combat sequence. As his uniform tore, it revealed a physique sculpted purely for function and endurance. Lean, coiled muscle completely devoid of artificial bulk. Then came the emotional crescendo. Standing battered amidst the smoke, illuminated by a single ray of morning sunlight, Anant folded his hands. He delivered a quiet, deeply sincere whisper of devotion. Har Har Mahadev. No theatrical yelling, just a raw human prayer. When the credits rolled, the theater of hardened critics and veteran directors didn't cheer immediately. They sat in absolute heavy silence for 30 full seconds. And then they stood up, delivering a massive 5-minute standing ovation. Producer Ronnie Screwvala watched the room's reaction with a quiet, certain satisfaction. He had bet on an unknown student and delivered a performance that critics were already comparing to the industry's most seasoned veterans. Digital hype can trick people into buying a ticket for opening weekend, but achieving a sustained standing ovation from your harshest critics requires raw, transcendent talent, backed by a level of obsessive discipline that immediately forces everyone else to raise their standards. 3 of the most respected names in Indian cinema, including Anupam Khem, walked past the flashing cameras toward the Uri team. While the media clamored for quotes from Anant, these veterans focused their attention entirely on his father. The details came out in a rush: NSD corridors, legendary performances, and a gold medal hidden for 30 years. In 1990, Rajesh Sharma wasn't serving tea in Chandni Chowk. He was the top-ranked actor at the country's most prestigious drama school. Anant watched his mother's face go pale as she realized the father she knew as a restaurant owner had once been the most anticipated actor in the country. He walked away from a career at its peak to protect his family. Anupam Kher spoke to Rajesh as a peer, reframing the secret as a hidden foundation. He argued that the technical precision Anant displayed on screen was the direct result of a father who understood the discipline of the stage long before his son was born. True artistic destiny cannot be killed. When a master sacrifices their spot on the stage, the talent doesn't die. It incubates in the dark, passing its DNA to the next generation, where it eventually explodes into an unstoppable, perfected force.